I should have known better than to accept the assignment on Station Krell 9. But when you're a junior xenobiologist fresh out of the academy on Vortan Prime, you don't exactly get to choose your postings. You take what the Galactic Council offers, smile with all three mandibles, and hope you survive long enough to request a transfer. My name is Vex, just Vex. No fancy titles, no distinguished lineage, just a Vortanian with purple skin, 6 fingers, and an unfortunate tendency to ask questions nobody wants answered. The humans arrived on a Tuesday. Well, what we called Tuesday. They probably had some ridiculous name for it like Meatball Monday or something equally absurd. I'd heard stories about them, of course. Everyone had. The species that ate capsaicin for fun. The ones who kept predators as pets. The civilization that looked at a ball of nuclear fusion and thought, yeah, let's get closer to that thing. Idiots. Beautiful, terrifying idiots. Vex, report to Observation Deck 7. Sometime my supervisor's voice crackled through my comm unit. Toll was a Regelian, which meant he had the personality of wet sand and the imagination of a filing cabinet. We have new specimens. Specimens. He always called them specimens, like they were bacteria samples instead of sentient beings. But that's what made Station Krell 9 special, wasn't it? We didn't study alien cultures here. We studied pain tolerance, adaptability under duress, how long various species could survive in creative forms of hell. The Galactic Council funded us, of course. Officially, we were researching extreme environment survival protocols. Unofficially, we were torturers with tenure. I made my way through the sterile corridors, my footsteps echoing against the metal walls. The station hummed with the familiar sounds of suffering. A Dravian screeching in Test Chamber 4. Something wet and squelching from the biological breakdown labs. Tuesday sounds. When I reached Observation Deck 7, I understood why Thal had summoned me specifically. Through the reinforced glass, I could see them. 5 humans, 2 males, 3 females, based on their files. They sat in the holding cell. And here's the thing that struck me immediately, they weren't panicking. Every species panics. The Dravians screamed. The Calaxians tried to bargain. The Morphidians literally dissolved into puddles of despair. But these humans, they were talking, laughing, even. Subjects acquired from the mining colony on Epsilon Tertius, Thal explained, his voice completely devoid of emotion. They were trespassing in restricted Vaxorian territory. Perfect opportunity for acquisition. They know where they are, I asked. Oh yes. We explained everything. The testing protocols, the experiments, the probable outcomes. Tal's eye stalk swiveled toward me. Their response was, and I quote, "Bring it on." I blinked all 4 of my eyes. Excuse me? The tall one with the dark hair, designation Marcus, asked if we had anything challenging planned. He seemed disappointed when I described the standard pain threshold assessments. This couldn't be right. I pulled up their files on my datapad. Marcus Webb, age 32, former military. Kira Patel, age 28, engineer. James O'Connor, age 41, botanist. Dr. Lisa Grant, age 35, physician. And the youngest, Emma Frost, age 24, communications specialist. Normal people, or as normal as humans could be. When do we begin the protocols? I heard myself ask. Immediately. Start with temperature extremes. I want to see how long they last in the freeze chamber. The freeze chamber. -100 degrees. Most species managed 4 minutes before permanent cellular damage occurred. The record was 7 minutes, held by a Chlorthian, with natural antifreeze in their blood. I watched as the humans were transferred to the chamber. They went willingly, almost cheerfully. Marcus was telling some kind of story that made the others laugh. Emma kept adjusting her hair, like she was preparing for a social event rather than potential death. The chamber doors sealed. Temperature readings began to drop. -30. -50. They started shivering at -60. Normal physiological response. But they were still talking. Still conscious. At -70, Kira started doing what appeared to be jumping exercises. The others followed her lead. What are they doing? Thal demanded. Generating body heat through movement, I murmured, fascinated. That's actually brilliant. -90. They huddled together now, but they were still alive, still aware. Marcus started singing something. The others joined in. Their breath came out in visible clouds, their lips turning blue, but they sang. The record was 7 minutes. They passed it at minute 8, then minute 9. At minute 12, I made the call, Thal, we need to stop this. No, I want to see their breaking point. They don't have one. I practically shouted. Look at them. They're treating this like some kind of team-building exercise. At minute 15, their movements were slowing. Hypothermia was setting in, but Emma, the youngest, was still smiling, still alive. I overrode the controls. The chamber temperature began to rise. Thal's eye stalks whipped toward me in fury, but I didn't care. You just cost us valuable data, he hissed. I just saved 5 lives. I shot back. The humans were extracted, wrapped in thermal blankets, given medical attention. They recovered within an hour, 15 minutes in negative 100-degree temperatures, and they recovered in an hour. I went to check on them in the medical bay. They were sitting up drinking something hot, laughing about the experience. Hey, purple guy. Marcus called out when he saw me. That was fun. What's next? Fire? Acid? Please tell me it's something exciting. I stared at him. You almost died. Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, he replied. Whatever that meant. We're fine. Bit chilly, but we've had worse camping trips. This isn't a game, I said quietly. Lisa, the doctor, met my eyes. Her expression shifted, became serious. We know exactly what this is. We know what you do here. But here's something you should know about humans. She leaned forward. We don't break easy. And we remember everything. There was something in her tone. Not quite a threat. More like a promise. I left the medical bay feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Fear. Because I realized in that moment what the Galactic Council didn't understand, what none of us understood. We weren't testing the humans. They were testing us. The next morning, if you could call it morning on a station with artificial lighting cycles, I found myself standing outside Thal's office. I'd spent the entire night reviewing footage, reading reports, trying to understand what made these humans so different. The answer was simple, and it terrified me. They weren't different. This was just what humans were. Enter. Tal's voice droned from inside. I stepped in. His office smelled like recycled air and desperation, which pretty much summed up our entire operation. The Council has approved Escalation, Thala said without preamble. Today we proceed with sensory deprivation, followed by psychological stress testing, culminating in the pain amplification trials. My stomach, all 3 of them, turned over. Thal, perhaps we should reconsider the approach with this species. Your objection is noted and ignored. Report to Testing Bay 12 in 1 hour. He dismissed me with a wave of his manipulator appendage. I trudged to Testing Bay 12, where the humans were already being prepared. They looked tired but not defeated. Emma was braiding Kira's hair. James was doing some kind of stretching routine. Marcus was arm wrestling with Dr. Grant, for fun. They were arm wrestling for fun, while waiting to be tortured. All right, subjects, please proceed to your designated chambers, the automated voice announced. Hey Vex, Marcus called out. Good to see you again, buddy. You ready for round 2? I wasn't their buddy. I was complicit in their suffering, but I nodded anyway. The sensory deprivation tanks were designed to remove all external stimuli. Complete darkness. Complete silence. Floating in a solution that matched body temperature exactly. No sight. No sound. No touch. No sense of time. Most species started hallucinating within 30 minutes. We'd had subjects go permanently insane after 2 hours. The humans lasted 6 hours. 6 hours. When we extracted them, they were calm, disoriented for about 5 minutes, then completely fine. That was weird, Emma said, toweling off. I spent most of the time trying to remember all the lyrics to songs from my childhood. Got through about 47 before you pulled us out. 47 songs. She'd been mentally singing for 6 hours straight. Thol was furious. Proceed immediately to psychological stress testing. This is where it got cruel. We'd use their own minds against them, project their fears, make them relive traumatic memories, break them from the inside where physical torture had failed. I watched through the observation glass as the neural interface activated. The humans stiffened as the program began accessing their memories, their fears, their deepest psychological wounds. Marcus saw something that made him flinch. Thera started breathing hard. Dr. Grant's hands clenched into fists. James closed his eyes tight. Emma started crying. But here's what happened next. the thing that changed everything. They started talking to each other. "Marcus, you with us?" Kira called out. Yeah, I'm here," he replied, voice shaking. "Just old memories. Nothing real." "Emma, breathe with me," Dr. Grant said calmly. "In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. You've got this." They were coaching each other through it, supporting each other. The psychological torture program was designed for individuals. It had no protocol for subjects who actively helped each other resist. After 90 minutes, Talus shut it down. "This is useless. They're contaminating the data by communicating." "Maybe that's the data," I said quietly. "What?" "Maybe the fact that they can resist together is the most important discovery here." Thalus' eye stalks narrowed. "Then we test them separately. Final protocol. Pain amplification. Individual chambers. Maximum intensity." I felt sick. The pain amplification chambers were our worst invention. They directly stimulated nerve clusters to create pure agony without physical damage. We could make subjects feel like they were burning alive, drowning, being torn apart, all while their bodies remained completely unharmed. We'd never run it at maximum intensity. The theoretical calculations suggested that level of pain would cause immediate psychotic breakdown. Thal, this is too far. This is science, Vex. This is what we do. No, this was evil. This was what monsters did. But I helped anyway. I prepared the chambers. I calibrated the neural stimulators. I sealed each human into their individual pod, and I hated myself for every second of it. "Hey Vex," Marcus said before I closed his chamber. "It's okay. We know you're not the one making these choices." His forgiveness somehow made it worse. The program initiated. I watched 5 humans experience the worst pain any living being could theoretically endure. They screamed. Of course they screamed. They convulsed against the restraints. Tears streamed down their faces. But they didn't break. At the 5-minute mark, when the program should have reduced them to mindless babbling wrecks, Marcus started laughing. Actually laughing. "Is that all you've got?" he shouted at the ceiling. My drill sergeant hit harder than this. Then Emma started singing again. That same song from the freeze chamber. Then Kira joined in. Then James. Then Dr. Grant. 5 separate chambers. 5 isolated humans. Somehow singing the same song in perfect harmony. Thal slammed his manipulator on the console. "How are they coordinating? The chambers are completely isolated." I checked the readings. "They're not coordinating. They're just all human." The 10-minute mark, something else happened. The station's lights flickered. Not in testing bay 12. Everywhere. Every system on Krell 9 stuttered for exactly 3 seconds. My comm unit exploded with chatter. "Security breach in docking bay 1. Armed vessels approaching. Multiple warp signatures detected." I felt my blood, purple and cold, freeze in my veins. "Sow. We need to evacuate the subjects immediately." "Absolutely not. We're in the middle of critical data collection." The station rocked. Something had just attached to our hull. Something big. I overrode his commands again and terminated all the testing protocols. The chambers opened. The humans stumbled out, shaking and pale, but very much alive and very much angry. "Vex, what's happening?" Dr. Grant demanded. Before I could answer, the bay doors exploded inward. Not metaphorically. Actually exploded. Through the smoke came humans. Lots of them. Armed, armored, and absolutely furious. The lead soldier, a woman with scars across her face and eyes like frozen nitrogen, pointed a weapon that looked like it could atomize a small moon directly at Thal. "You have exactly 10 seconds to explain why you thought torturing human citizens was a good idea," she said, her voice colder than the freeze chamber. "And your answer better be really, really good." Talus tried to run. She shot him. Not fatally, just enough to make him collapse and scream. "That was for the freeze chamber," she said. Then she looked at me. "You, Purple One, did you hurt them?" I thought about lying. I thought about running. Instead I just told the truth. "Yes. I helped. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She studied me for a long moment. "But you also stopped the tests early, multiple times." "Why?" "Because it was wrong." One of the rescued humans, Marcus, stepped forward. "Commander Hayes, this one tried to help us. He's not like the others." Commander Hayes lowered her weapon slightly. "You're coming with us anyway. You're going to tell the human government everything about this station. Every species you've tortured. Every council member who authorized this. And then we're going to have a very serious conversation with the Galactic Council about what happens when you play with human suffering." I nodded. "What will you do?" She smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator that had just caught its prey. "We're going to teach them the most important lesson about humanity. We forgive slowly, we forget never, and we always, always collect our debts." Station Krell 9 was dismantled within a week. The Galactic Council issued formal apologies. Treaties were rewritten. Thal and 47 others faced human justice. And me. I became humanity's liaison to the Council. My job is to make sure this never happens again. Because I learned something important that day. Humans don't break. They bend, they adapt, they survive. And if you push them too far, they don't just push back. They bring an entire fleet.